posted my last video, so I'm super excited to be back, and I have lots of fun updates. Okay, number one, yarn is not my full-time job. I am a project manager, and I have been promotion ready for a while now, and since we've last chatted, I was promoted. So I am now officially a manager. I don't manage people, but I have the manager title, which is really exciting. And it was a lot of work. I ended up interviewing for 3 different jobs. So the company I work at, there's actually no such thing as, quote, promotions. You have to apply for the next level role, interview, and go through the process. And that is really to ensure that anyone who wants to be included or thought of has the opportunity, rather than someone just potentially getting offered the role and not ensuring that they're the best person for that role. So I interviewed for 3, I was offered 1, wasn't the right fit for me, so I turned it down. I was offered the second one and I accepted. And so I pulled out of the interview loop for the third one. I had already done 1 interview, but I said, hey, you know what, this role was right for me. So that really brings me to what I want to talk about. It's the new year. I have a new job. I'm kind of going on this new journey of my life. So a lot of people talk about resolutions, and I don't have resolutions this year. This year, I'm doing something a little bit different, and I'm doing I'm like picking a word. I actually had a boss tell me that they're picking a word, and I really, really like that. So for me, this word for 2023 is intentionality. And that's really what I'm trying to lean in to accomplish this year, is to be intentional with the things that I do. I have an all or nothing personality, so I either 100% jump in or I'm 100% out. So for me, I really want to focus on finding that balance of being intentional about the things that I do. One of those has been, I joined a gym. I started doing Barry's boot camp. They had a holiday special, and I splurged and I bought myself a 6-month membership, and I've been going 5 days a week, and I'm loving it so much. Like, I'm physically feeling so good. I have so much energy in the afternoon. I was joking about it with a friend who joined me, and like, I just have like energy and I just want to dance all the time, and it feels really good. A lot of people ask the question, and one of the things that I've talked about is body image. So I have a lot of challenges with body dysmorphia. Not very proud of my body, and I want this to be something that people can talk about on this channel and people can connect to and relate to and understand. And part of my journey is I started seeing a really great goal-based therapist through an online platform, and we have been doing a lot of work around body image. And she is a therapist who does not support dieting. So I have not been dieting, and I'm feeling great. One of the things that I've suffered from in the past is binge eating, and I'm on this journey of, if you restrict, you binge. And that translates to a lot of different things in my life. If I restrict myself from doing the things that I love, I'm gonna feel neglected about it. If I restrict food, which I love food, I'm gonna binge. And so one of the things that we have been doing and working on as a goal is like salt and vinegar potato chips is one of my all-time favorite things. And so always having them in the house. And you know what? Every lunch I have just a handful of chips. So that way I always like satisfy that craving, but I don't feel guilty about it. And I can be a lot more free. One of the things that I personally have just been feeling a lot lately is like existentialism of like, what happens if no tomorrow exists? And it's part of my own therapy journey that I'm kind of coming to terms with. And it's just because I've gone through so much change in the last 6 months. And so I don't want to count calories. I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to hate the food that I'm eating. I don't want to hate my body. I'm not in love with my body right now, but I want to live life. And if there's no tomorrow, do I really want to have this memory of me of counting calories? No. Does that mean I'm eating crap? No. I'm just being a lot more intentional about finding foods that I love, finding balance, not eating so many large portions. So that's kind of some of the journey that I've been working on personally. When I talk about some of the intentionality, one of the things that I've been struggling with is actually picking up a book and reading it. And I think that has a lot to do with I lost my grandma and she was a big reader. I had all of her books just sitting there and I'm looking at a pile of them right now. I also have so many of them now unpacked and on my shelves. They are in alphabetical order by author's last name. We can debate this in the comments, but this is how I organize my books. A lot of people will do it by color, genre. I am a nerd and I want them alphabetical order. But I opened them up and I left them sitting on the floor, just kind of looking at them. It was a big step for me to actually open the boxes. It was an even bigger step for me to put them on the shelf. And for some reason, that's kind of translated into me not wanting to read physical books. I love listening to a lot of audiobooks. I know I love reading physical books as well. So a goal that I'm gonna create for myself is start to read 10 minutes a day from a physical book. So I have 2 books that I'm gonna do that for. One is a fun read and one is a book from my therapist. Excuse the language, but it's called The F-It Diet. This is a family-friendly podcast, but this is really just about like eating should be fun, and it's a lot around the psychological effects of eating, and I'm super excited to jump into it. The second fun book is, this was a book, The Golem and the Jinni. This was loaned to me by a friend that I've met at my yarn pop-ups. He is just a really sweet guy that loves reading, loves knitting, and we've just had this really great friendship through my kind of online platform, and then I got to meet him in real life, and then he is recommending a book, and it's been sitting here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to read this book so bad. So I'm going to be intentional, and I'm going to read 10 minutes a day. So that could be 10 minutes from the kind of learn something book, or it could be 10 minutes from this book. I'm just 10 minutes a day. That's all I'm going to commit to myself. And if I want to do more, that's great. If I start the 10 minutes and I really am not feeling that, I'm going to pause and I'm going to try to understand. Maybe I'll do some journaling. Maybe I'll go for a walk. But 10 minutes in totality is my goal. Okay, now I've talked a lot about my personal stuff. I've talked a lot about me. How does this translate into the yarn? Because this is a yarn podcast, but it's also a me podcast. So when I talk about intentionality, if you have not seen my site, I did a site update. One of the things that I think I've opened my eyes to is that I love the creative part, but the business management is really hard. And so I've been doing a lot to update my photos. I'm actually gonna pause and I just wanna show like a before and after some of the stuff that I've done, because it's kind of, for me, it feels a little pathetic, or like I'm better than that. And so I'm just gonna pause, show you the side by side so you can see what the before photo was and what the current photo is, and it's pretty drastic. Okay, so that is just one of the ways. I have a lot more yarn to update. It takes a lot of time. The yarn has ties in it to prevent it from snagging and twisting. To take a pretty photo, you have to remove those tags because it just doesn't look as neat. And then you have to rewind it and restitch it. So it's taking me some time, but I'm committed to doing that. Thought to Thread has been doing really well, and a lot of that has to do with YouTube. So one, thank you for all of the new friends, fans, and followers, and people who have tried yarn. And because of that support and people buying yarn, I was able to invest, and I got some really cute custom thank you cards. So I designed these myself. When people buy yarn from me directly from my site, I always like to handwrite a thank you note. And so I wanted something a little bit more professional, a little bit more clean. These just say thank you. They feel very neat. They're fiber knitting, so there's someone crocheting, and then you have kind of the yarn and knitting ball. And so if you order yarn from me, you're just gonna get one of these really cute cards. And this is something that just makes me feel really proud of my business and what I wanna do. So that's something. The other thing that I've been heavily debating is I really want my yarn to be affordable for anyone who can get it. I am on the lower end of hand-dyed yarn, and my philosophy is I would rather have a lower price and do more volume and let more people experience my yarn than have a higher price point and it feel potentially elitist or something that people can't afford. And my sock yarn is absolutely one of my favorite yarns to work with. So this is my current sock yarn. It has a blend of 55% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and 20% kid mohair in my dried amaranthus. And I made a couple beanies a while back on my original base. And so I had a different supplier, and this is how I kind of started and what was really special about it. That base was 40% superwash, 40% mohair, and only 20% nylon. So a lot more mohair, a little less merino, but it had a significant more amount of that mohair, and I think it just made it a lot more soft. This sock yarn is a lot more of a firm. I love to knit sweaters out of sock yarn. I love to knit hats out of sock yarn. I feel like this sock yarn right here is perfect for socks, and if you like a really, really stiff fabric. As an individual knitter, I prefer that little bit more of like a soft, cozy feel, but still have that durability that I could make it into socks, or I could make it into something that I'm gonna wear every single day. So I have decided I'm going to go back to the original recipe, work with the old supplier to bring back my original sock yarn. So with that, I'm going to be a lot more intentional about the colors that I have. So this is one of my favorite colors, dried amaranthus. It doesn't resonate with a lot of people. So once this color is gone, unless someone custom orders it, this color is going to get retired. So all of my sock yarn is right up here. They're all beautiful, but I'm going to be a lot more intentional about what I bring back with this current base. So it'll be nearly identical in color, identical in weight. The mixture will just be slightly different, but it'll still be a sock yarn. It'll still be pretty unique to thought to thread. And I'm super excited for that. So if you go on my site right now, all of the sock yarn is on sale. And that's just because if I'm going to be changing it up, I don't feel good about selling it at full price and then having something different that I feel something a little bit different. So one, I wanted to lower the price point. Hopefully more people can experience the yarn. People can give it a try. This yarn is great and I'm making a hat out of it. It just produces a little bit more of a stiffer fabric. I prefer a little bit more of a softer fabric. So if you like the stiffer fabric and you like supporting me, get the sock yarn now. Otherwise it's gonna be gone and that's okay. The other thing about intentionality, I've had a lot of people actually reach out about the Once in Floral, or the Floral Once sweater, the Max with the roses. I knit that while I was away at Thanksgiving, and I'm actually looking at it in my basket right now, and I haven't been able to pick it up. And I think because I was using it as a way to escape and channel some energy, I put a lot of, I want to call it negative energy into that project. And so I actually paused on that. I want to approach it a little bit differently, and I'm gonna re-knit it again, but I paused. So I think that's one of the great things about knitters and this community is sometimes things really, really resonate and you're super excited, and sometimes you just need a break. I'm taking a break from that sweater, but I did cast on the single malt sweater. So this is the current project that I'm working on. I still have a beanie that I'm trying to finish, but this is the sweater. I'm super excited. I love the stitch detail. I actually also really love the wrong side of it, and I would almost knit this again and wear it inside out on purpose. I would maybe switch up the raglan a little bit, and maybe you can kind of see here, it's like you have the purl bump in the middle. I would maybe do the inverse, something. Another thing that I modified from the original sweater is I personally don't like the look of a raw edge on my cuffs or on my collars. So I didn't want to do a tubular cast on because this is a 2x1 rib. I really love the look of a 1x1 tubular cast on, but because of the way the raglan works, I just decided to knit it double, and then I folded it. I'm gonna fold it and then whip stitch it down, so it kind of has that tubular effect, and then it's a double layered. Because you do some short rows in the back, I actually added a lifeline, and I don't know if you can see the gray lifeline in there, but that's so I know exactly where to fold it down so it lines up in there, so it's a really straight circular collar and it's really even across the neck, and then I still kind of have the short rows to lean in. So that is pretty much all I've been working on. I would love to just have a conversation. How did this video feel? I feel like this was a lot more about me, a little less about knitting. What are some of your 2023 intentions? Are you doing resolutions? Are you doing goals? Let's talk about that. Also, let's destigmatize mental health. So if you loved the topic of me talking about my journey through therapy or things that I'm working on, let me know. If you feel like it's a little bit too much, I'd love to hear that. So that is pretty much, I think, everything that I had to share for today. Again, YouTube has been a really great support for Thought to Thread. I've been talking to a lot of you. I've sold a ton of yarn just by these videos. And so thank you. And if you're wanting to support me, get the yarn, talk to me about it. Show me what you're working on. Those are some of the best feelings in the world, is when people buy yarn and then send me a picture of what they made. And that's a great way to support me if you want to. So cheers to a happy new year and to a great 2023. I'm so excited to be on this journey.